complaint, but I think it fits in because there was a transition between executive committees. And David, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, there was a question asked of volunteering for district committee in June of last year. New committee executive group comes in January, and there's no list could be found of all those people that volunteered at the time.
At the June 2022
Right.
meeting?
Right.
Okay, so they thought they had something like, I'm going to pick the
Numbers I don't know. I can't speak on the numbers on how many people.
Okay, some number available of slots, and then some number of people volunteered.
Right.
There was no election, there was no appointment, or there were appointments, or we don't know.
I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how that was working. I remember talking, or as far as talking to David after the February meeting, because he thought he had found a list with my name on it, that we assumed was going to be from that June meeting, but then something didn't, I don't know what it was, something didn't work out where either the positions had already been filled because of the February meeting. But.
So, hey Jay, let me clarify something real quickly too.
Is it okay if I finish with him first?
Oh, sorry.
I should make sure that I get, you're the first elected official that's here to tell us your view of what happened. The whole thing is to protect people, your spot on the committee, and yet not to waste it just in case.
Right. Yep.
So we're talking about June 2022. Did you, when you walked out of that meeting, did you think you were okay, you were on the district committee?
As far as I knew, yeah. I mean, whether I knew what exactly was expected of me when the time came, no. But I mean, I understood that they took, like I said, they took a list of all the people that wanted to be involved in the district and state committee, or I guess at the time just district committee, maybe in state too. But yeah, as far as I would have known, there wouldn't have been anything else to do. Okay,
and then I'm going to paraphrase, and maybe I'm making an assumption, and if I am, I know that Steve's going to come and correct me after I'm done. I want to finish my question. So I'm going to paraphrase and assume that between June of 2022 and February of 2023, we all know there's a change in administration at the county level, but in that time period, can I say that the summary of what we've heard so far is that there's a loss of the evidence of what happened in June 2022, and so you come to February 2023, and you have 10 spots available out of the 44 total. Is that about a good summary?
I think so.
And then in February 2023, did you try to get on the district committee again?
So that's back to Jennifer's point. So the first motion was, the very first motion was to let the elected officials that wanted an interest to be in the district committee to get those positions if they so wanted to.
Okay.
So that motion failed.
Okay.
The next motion was just to elect new people in those positions to fill those spots. After that, I did not volunteer because I felt like at that point the elected officials were said, no, we don't want your spots. I mean, that was just kind of how I felt at the time. Not to say I was fair or the right way to feel, but I was new to it, so that's just kind of how it felt.
And in your mind today is, and you signed off on the complaint, is part of your written complaint about that first vote failing, that they didn't give you an automatic slot in February of this year?
No, the only reason I signed off on the review of the rules was because I felt like if there was an expectation of me to give something in writing, that I should have been told that at filing, and that before it even came to the committee in February to say, hey, we're going to fill these spots, I would have liked to have at least seen, hey, you didn't fill out the appropriate paper, you didn't provide something in writing that said, hey, I want to be involved in district committee, because again, back to the way I started this, is I want to be involved. I know a lot of elected officials, or several don't, but I'm not speaking for them, I'm just speaking for me, that somebody that wants to be involved, that I felt like I should have been given that opportunity prior to the February meeting to submit something in writing to correct that and say that I want to be involved in the district committee. That's all I'm asking.
So for sure, absolutely, everyone we've talked to so far has the bitter complaint of bad communication intra-party, right? Okay, I agree with you on that. Can I ask you this? So then assuming those things, you signed off on the complaint, what would you, if you had anything in the world to ask, what would you like this committee to do to remedy the alleged wrongs?
Well, for me personally, again, I think if there's a rule in violation, which I don't know that there is, but I signed off asking you guys to look at this situation. But if there were, I would like the opportunity to be able to fill out the right paperwork or provide a written statement that says I would like to be involved in the district committee. And for those that have 4, which for me, I file again in November. So I guess, I could provide that in writing then, but really, you spoke about it earlier, is there's people that have 4-year terms that won't get that opportunity unless they're elected. And that's, again, they may not be speaking for themselves, and I'm not speaking for them, but I just felt like that was the right thing to ask for. So.
Can I ask one more question? And this is from an election administration point of view. If something goes bad in an election in the state of Arkansas, the general understood rule is that after a certain period of time, it's too late to complain because elections have to be concluded.
Sure.
So the question I have is this. Are you asking to have anyone who was previously elected to the district committee from this county removed or changed out?
Honestly, I don't know how I would answer that because I really wasn't even understanding. I just assumed that the elected officials were in addition to the other elected people. So, I mean, I'm not asking necessarily for somebody's spot. I'm just asking for the other opportunity to right a wrong or a mistake and give the answer that, hey, I want to be involved or I don't. I mean, heck, I could write you a letter that says I don't want to be involved. I just want to ask for that. I mean, I just want to ask for the opportunity, right? So.
If you ask me that, I might be upset. Anyway, I appreciate it very much. I'm sorry to vex you as well. I have to make sure that I'm trying to get it straight so that everyone who doesn't have inside information kind of gets a view. And your view is the most helpful we've heard. Thank you very much. I apologize, Steve, for
No, that's fine. I was just going to point